Hello, it's Wednesday the 22nd of July 2020. I've got a bowl in my hand because I want to show you some pictures this morning of lunches that I've eaten this week. I think there's 5 pictures of lunches and there's one picture which shows a bowl of beans. I can't remember what kind of beans they were, it might have been mixed, that Joe had just cooked in the Instant Pot. And I have to say, you know, after years and years of buying tinned beans or cartoned ones, or even baked beans, which I wouldn't eat now. I find them either far too sweet, so I don't do beans in sauces anymore. Even though they are a free on Slimming World and you can have them, I actually prefer beans freshly cooked, just soaked overnight and cooked in the Instant Pot. So Joe's going to include a picture of some beans he had just cooked. There are 5 lunches in the pictures, and you might look at them and you might say, oh yeah, they all look a bit similar. 3 of them do look quite similar, but it's the kind of food I like, as long as I've got a whole grain in there, as long as I've got vegetables and maybe fruit in there, and beans and seeds, or milled linseed or milled chia seeds or whatever. I've got everything on that plate that makes up a food optimised meal on a plant-based plan. And my God, it's filling. I mean, one of the pictures is my lunch from yesterday, and it was huge. But you know, I ate every scrap. I don't leave food very often. It has to be exceptional for me to leave food, because I know how much I can eat, I know how much to put on my plate, and yeah, I don't eat fast. That's another thing. I used to be one of the fastest eaters on the planet, but I don't eat fast. But I wanted to show you the size of kind of plate or bowl that I generally have my meal in. This is a pasta dish, pasta bowl, and I would say it's what, 20 centimetres, 22 maybe. And it's generous, it's got a decent depth to it, and you can pack plenty of food into that, because you can also pile it up a bit. So that's one of the plates I would use. And then the other one I would use is this bowl. So you can see from my hands it's a decent size. Again, I would say this is 20 centimetres, but this is deeper. And there's a little story behind this. We popped to HomeSense last week because I wanted a bowl, a slightly deeper bowl. And we found these straight away, and I like white, so that worked for me. And these were actually $2.99 each, and they're a lovely weight and size. So I thought, well, I'll get 2, because there was only 2 on the shelf, but I'll get both. So £5.98 for 2. They're really nice, actually. They feel really good quality, and I like the patterning around here. So £5.98 for 2, and then I get home, and slapped on the side of each bowl is a sticky label. Now the ones on the bottom came off, no problem. The ones on the side, oh my God, I tried everything, including American Dawn dish soap. This stuff would not come off. I managed to get most of the paper off eventually, but none of the sticky stuff would come off. So then we had to go on Amazon and order some sticky stuff remover, which was £5.40. So £5.98 for 2 bowls, and then £5.40 to get the bloody labels off. But anyway, we've got the sticky stuff remover, and it'll come in handy in the future. So at this point on the video, I'm going to put my bowl down, and that will give Joe an indication where to put the photographs in of the 5 meals and the beans. Right, I'm tired today, and I'm going to tell you why. It's a daft story really, but I like a little story. Yesterday Joe had been shopping, and he called at his dad's to drop some shopping off. His dad wasn't in, and Joe didn't have his keys. So he came home to get his door key for his dad's, and he was driving back to his dad's, which is a mile and a bit away probably, and I decided to go with him for the drive. But I had my slippers on. Now, I'm not the sort of person who goes out in my slippers, believe me, but hang on, I'll show you. I've got UGG slippers, so they're quite substantial soles, and I knew I was only going in the car, I wasn't going to get out of the car. So that's no shame going out in your slippers as far as your own drive, is it? So we come back and it must have been playing on my mind. And I was talking to Joe about, that's the first time I think in my life I've ever been out in my slippers. And he said, oh, don't worry about it, Mum. He said, I go to Asda regularly to shop and people go in their slippers and their pyjamas. He said, it's not unusual to see somebody shopping with their slippers on and their pyjama bottoms and a t-shirt. And I thought, oh, thank God I hadn't sunk that low. Anyway, didn't do it. Didn't go out in my pyjamas. Went to bed last night, went off to sleep, good night's sleep, and I started to dream. And I started to dream I was out in public, in a shopping centre, in my slippers. And it was like a nightmare. I was like, everybody's looking at my feet. I've got to go. I need to get these slippers off me. You know, but I was on my own. I don't know how I was doing that, but it was all about my slippers. Then I must have it was almost like the programme changed, and I was out with two little kiddies and I'd got to take them to the railway station to catch a train, and everybody was staring at me because I had my slippers on. And that turned into a bit of a nightmare because I was trying to get into the railway station without being noticed. And then it got worse. It was like the programme changed again. And I'm on a building site and it was rubble and I'm climbing over this rubble, fully clothed, but with my slippers on. And again, I was a bit like, oh, I don't want to ruin my slippers. And puddles, and it got more and more disturbing until eventually I got to the end of this building site and there was a 30-foot drop into a canal. So I climbed over the edge of this drop thinking I mustn't drop my slippers off my feet. And it just turned into this absolute nightmare. And people were walking by the side of the canal and I'm shouting, help me, get the fire brigade. But don't let them see my slippers. And then the next thing, I'm in my nightie and my slippers in this dream, but I'm hanging off the end of my own bed, like the side of my bed, because I think I'm on the edge of a cliff. And oh my God, I've woken up this morning. I mean, I got up at 6:30, changed the bed, did my usual stuff. But I feel like I've been out all night, climbing over building sites and having adventures. I am absolutely tired out in my head. And funnily enough, my arms and legs are aching, so I think I probably spent quite a bit of last night clinging onto the side of my own bed, thinking I was going to fall into the canal. So that just shows you, but I used to put things like that down to eating cheese before I went to sleep. I don't eat cheese anymore, so it can't be the cheese. It was just the vivid imagination and the guilt of going out in my slippers. So that's me, that's how daft I can be. In the comment section on the last video, it must have been Saturday's, I think. Yeah, it would have been. Michaela, now I'm going to say your name and forgive me if I get it wrong. Michaela Propinski? Lovely name. Anyway, she left me a comment, and one of the things she asked me, or maybe she left a comment and the only thing she asked me was, what she was saying, you know, your food looks good or whatever, but what do you do about snacks? And what do you do if you need or want chocolate? I can't remember whether she said need or want, so I'm using both. So I kind of answered Michaela in the question, in the comment, but I want to address that on here. What do I do if I want snacks? Or what do I do for snacks? I don't snack. I've always tried since I came to Slimming World to have 3 meals a day and nothing in between, which was the way we ate when people were thin in the 60s, 70s. We didn't snack. It wasn't a snacking world, and I'm much more comfortable going 4 or 5 hours between meals and actually getting to my next meal and appreciating that I can sit down and eat a good meal than I am grazing my way from one meal to the next, which you can do on Slimming World if you want to. There's nothing in there says you can't do that. But you know, for me, I grazed my way to 22 stone. I never stopped eating. I remember in the newspaper thing I did a couple of weeks ago, talking to the journalist, and she was saying, like, you'd get up in the morning and have breakfast, and then when would the problems start with food? Oh God, the problems started before breakfast, because I'd get up in the morning, I'd put 2 slices of toast in the toaster, or at one point we had a 4-slice toaster, so I could do 4 slices at once, because I like my toast cold, because then you can pile the butter on a bit more. I'd put the toast in the toaster, and I'd be standing over it with a piece of cake in my hand, or a biscuit, or a slice of bread and butter, or so. I never waited for the toast to cook, because my bad habit of eating, I'd probably been up at 3 o'clock in the morning and had something to eat anyway, because I woke up. I mean, I'm conscious I should be eating. That's how I lived back then. So I snacked and I ate 3 meals a day, and I grazed, and I ate until late at night, and I ate in the night, and that's how I got to 22 stone. So snacks are something I totally abstain from, because the problem with me is 1 is never enough. 100 doesn't satisfy me or scratch the itch, but 1 is certainly never enough. So like, if I want fruit, I might tag a piece of fruit or 2 pieces of fruit, or like yesterday I had about 3/4 of a melon for my dessert. I tag that onto the end of my meal, something sweet, you know, apricots, kiwis, nice fruit. We have berries every day. Tag that onto the end of my breakfast, onto the end of my lunch, onto the end of my tea, and then I stop. I must admit my tea has got a bit earlier. I don't eat as late as I used to. So I've generally finished eating by like 5:30. Then we get up in the morning like this morning. We haven't been out yet. I don't even know what time it is. It's probably about 8:30, something like that. But when we've done this video, before Joe gets around to uploading it, we'll go for our usual hill walk, and then we'll come back and then we'll cook breakfast. And what I'm doing a lot at the moment is I'm eating vegetables for breakfast. So I might have sweet potatoes with tender stem broccoli and some different beans, and put cumin and black pepper or salt or whatever on it, or a bit of linseed. But yesterday morning I just had the tender stem broccoli with mixed beans, and then I had some fruit afterwards. So I'm trying like to focus on everything that's free to me to eat on a plant-based Slimming World plan. So that was a question about snacking. I don't snack. And I don't think, even for me, it would be right to snack on fruit. Because like I say, once I start, I don't know when to stop. And an apple would lead to a pear, would lead to a, what's in the cupboard? Another thing is we don't have snack stuff in the cupboards, apart from fruit and vegetables. We don't keep things in the cupboard just in case somebody brings their kids around, because I'm getting to a place where if I'm not going to eat this, I ain't going to feed it to your kids. So that's quite nice. The chocolate question, again, no. When I'm on plan properly and feeling as good as I feel today, I don't crave chocolate. I think because I've stepped away from that sort of stuff and I'm eating a different, I would say a different class of food, because that sounds right to me. Because I'm eating vegetables, fruit, whole grains and beans and legumes, there is nothing in that combination of food that triggers me to crave chocolate or crave biscuits and things. You get the fleeting thought that rushes past the back of your head and you just don't act on it. Excuse me. So it's I think the fact that the kind of food I'm eating is feeding my gut with a different kind of healthy substance, which then means that the good gut bacteria is now outweighing the bad gut bacteria, which crave sugar all the time. And as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I don't think that those cravings should be a problem. The fleeting thoughts you can just let go of. So thanks for that question, Michaela. It made me stop and think.
I think it works like a feedback loop.
Like a feedback loop.
The better you eat, the better you feel, the more better you want to eat.
Yeah, I get that, Joe, because I mean we both know
But it works both ways as well.
Yeah, we both know what it's like to struggle with the wrong kind of food, because when we are, I'm going to say, indulging ourselves, because it's all about choice. Nobody force feeds you all that rubbish. Nobody makes you go out and buy multiple packs of things, because I tell you, if I was going to do a video on a Saturday and I was going to show you a load of sin ideas, and let's make sin baskets, let's make sin boxes, oh for God's sake, let's not. But if I was going to do that on Saturday, so I went to the supermarket today and bought all that stuff, you wouldn't be there by 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'd have ate the lot. Why torture myself? Why put myself in that place to try and impress a few people on YouTube with, look at what I've bought, aren't I clever? I can't do that. It's like AJ says, Chef AJ says, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. And I keep reminding myself, I could do with that tattooed on my backside. If it's in your house, it's in your mouth. Because I know anything I bring into this house, that's going to be a problem to me. subconsciously, or rather consciously most of the time, I bought it in on purpose because I know what I intend to do with it. You know, I'm not daft. Often we'll talk about things as if mind and body are separate. You know, it's my mind playing tricks on me. It's my mind driving me mad. Who gives the mind all those ideas? We do. I've been asked to thinking, I could pretend to buy that for so-and-so. I know what I'm doing. I'm an intelligent woman. I've played mind games and secrecy games with food since I was a kid. Since my parents had a pub and I could go and help myself to all the chocolate and all the crisps and all the, there'd be such as so many packs of this, they won't miss one. I used to steal food as a child. I used to steal chocolate from my auntie's shop. I knew what I was doing. It was choice, you know? And I can do the same now. I could con myself and I could con you very easily. But where would that get me other than fat?
But what we've been reading a lot recently is about like food addiction, isn't it? And we've been learning about how abstaining from those things completely is often easier than it is to cut down to the light version or just have a small amount of it.
Well, it's like you were saying, 100% off something is better than 99%.
Well, it's just easier for people like me. Yeah.
It's easier for people like me too. And we were walking yesterday and we were talking about this subject, and we were talking about it being akin to being an alcoholic, and people will say, but it's easier for an alcoholic because they don't have to drink. Think about what you're saying. How many drinks of water, how many glasses of squash, how many cups of tea? It's all drinking. The same as we would say, it's harder for us because we have to eat. We do have to eat. We don't have to eat shit. Any more than an alcoholic can get away with never having another drink because they die a lot quicker than we would, because we've got the fat to live off. They just die of dehydration, you know? And I think from the people I've met who have a problem with alcohol, I have great respect for them, especially the ones who find their way to AA, their problems with alcohol can quite easily get replaced with a problem with sweets, with a problem with chocolate, with a problem with food. Because once an addict, always an addict. You can get addicted to absolutely anything, which is why they have 12-step programs for so many things, you know. Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. There's one for money and overspending. There's everything out there because as many as there are people in the world, there are addictions. But you have to find a way of wanting to be rid of that addiction and wanting to be rid of the ramifications of what it brings into your life more than you want to be drunk in the street and have a blackout, or more than you want to be lying around like a beach whale thinking, oh God, I've done it again. And the one thing about dieting, I would say, there'd be a lot of people at this present time coming back to wanting to lose weight because it's been hard through the lockdown for many, many of us. I mean, I struggled at the beginning of the lockdown. I'm glad I turned it around halfway through because of how I feel today, rather than leaving it till today when I would have been another stone and a half heavier. But for those people who are looking at turning it around, can I ask something of you? Think about it before you just go, I'm going to do Slimming World again. Get your book out, read your book, look at how you can do it. And don't just go back to the way you've done it every other time. Because if it worked the way you were doing it, we wouldn't have all, you know, if Slimming World was working for me in the way I was doing it, I wouldn't have fallen off the wagon at the start of lockdown because I would have been doing it in a way that I wanted to do that more than I wanted to eat crap. And who's the famous man who said, keep doing the same things?
Wasn't it Einstein?
Einstein. The definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing and expecting it to work. And if it doesn't work the first time, it won't work the next time. So you might look back on your old food list and you might go, I used to do this and I used to save 13 of my sins for night time and I used to this and I never ate carbs. There's nowhere in the books, or apart from SP, and I wish they'd scrap that says cut out whole food groups, because if you read about healthy weight losses, it's not wise to cut out whole food groups, because think about it, you might come back to it today. SP is a short-term thing. It says do it for a week or whatever. You do not go to Slimming World, and if you've got a decent consultant, do SP week after week after week, because your consultant should stop you. It's not a permanent plan. It's a quick fix because you've got to get into a dress a week on Saturday for a wedding or something like that. It's not a permanent plan because it cuts out a lot of carbs, and that's not healthy. Likewise, it wouldn't be healthy to cut out one of the other macro food groups.
Yeah, because if you cut your calories too low, you end up craving high-calorie foods.
Yeah, and if you cut your calories too low, you slow your own metabolism down, and then the minute you start to eat again, boom, you go up like a rocket. Done it, been there. It doesn't work. And it's like, do Slimming World, as it says in the book. This is your list of free food. So if you're going to have your meat and you're going to have your veg, it says you can have pasta with it. It says you can have rice with it. It says you can have potatoes with it. And if you look at the calories of a lot of those things, they're not what your problem is. Your problem is the amount of dairy that you keep consuming because it's free. Dairy is notoriously bad for us. And, you know, some people, I've been in a group where people have had 10 yogurts a day. That's not normal.
What's the thing that AA says about half measures avail
I
nothing?
stood at the
or
crossroads. Something? Yeah. It says half measures avail us nothing.
Because to me that speaks about Muller lights and hi-fi bars and all that. They're
oh,
all
you've
like
always said if you're just going to...
things, that really irk me in Slimming World. It's like the low-calorie versions of things. So rather than a full-fat, full-sugar yogurt or a full-fat Coke or or like a packet of crisps, you have hula hoop puffs, or you have a hi-fi bar, or you have a Muller light, and I don't think those things help you get away from that sweet tooth or that.
Well, we've said that before because you said to me, because I used to smoke Marlboro, I used to smoke, I think at my worst probably 30 a day, and I would come up with this, I need to, you know, I mean Joe's been a smoker, he has empathy. But I would come, he used to roll his own, but I'd come up with this idea, I know how to improve on this, I'll move to Marlboro Light. And Joe used to just say, that's stupid. But I see a lot of people do that, overconsume hi-fi bars because they're trying to get off chocolate. Well, if you've got some chocolatey stuff on your hi-fi bar, you're not going to move very far away from chocolate.
Yeah, or
and having three or four low-fat yogurts a day in quark is more calories than having one decent yogurt and actually enjoying your food. And we always need to look at, I think, we need to look at what's keeping us in bondage to the kind of food that made us fat. And I had to learn that we went walking every day and I took 2 hi-fi bars with me. And I'd convinced myself I couldn't walk home again unless I ate those 2 hi-fi bars with a coffee from Costa. So I'd have a cortado and two hi-fi bars, and I can do it now, I can walk home. But you know, all that was doing was keeping me in bondage to chocolate, because then I got to night time and I had to have some more. And it's the same with the artificial sweeteners. You know, for God's sake, if you must have sweet stuff, put some sugar in your tea. Because those artificial sweeteners, in 20 years' time, when they're saying on the media, this is what they've done to people, because we don't know any better now. But I know that 1 teaspoon of artificial syrup stuff doesn't stay at 1 teaspoon. And I've seen people put that, plus sweetener, plus something else, in 1 yogurt. And you think, for God's sake, can't you taste that? You know, I've been in group when I was handed a lady's coffee instead of my own, and I took a nice big gulp and she had 2 artificial sweeteners in it. Jeez, it didn't even taste like coffee. And we need to sort of try to get ourselves off those things, wean ourselves off those things, because if you're a smoker, a Marlboro Light is not going to be any better than a Marlboro. And if you're a drinker, if your problem's alcohol, a lager is not going to be any better than a whiskey and soda. You can't minimise the addiction, you've got to get rid.
It's what it leads to as well, like 1 Freddo will lead to the rest of the pack.
Yeah, because who's going to buy 1 Freddo when you can buy a pack of 5 for £1?
You kid yourself, don't you, that, it's cheaper, so I'll get the Freddos, I'll have 1 a night.
Yeah, but it never works. Well, put your hands up if you like me and it never works. I'm speaking for myself. Because if you've got all that, you know, if you've got a massive sin box and it's full of like 40 or 50 things and you're in a good place, you've got your mojo, your head's in a good space, you think you're being mindful and all that, That's great. Look at me, I've got so much willpower. Well, actually, I've got none. But look at me, aren't I clever? That's fine because your life's in a good place. But you know, a week on Tuesday, when your washing machine conks out in the morning, your husband rings you in the afternoon and says, I'm stuck near work, I've got a flat tyre, and one of the kids says, Mum, I've lost my bus pass. All those things happen within the hour. Where's your willpower then? I would be face planting that sin box. And I think that's true of most of us because we are emotional things. We're women. Women are emotional creatures. I'm not doing the anti-feminism or the feminism. I'm not a feminist. I just want to be honest. Women are ruled by their hormones. So most of us, you know, younger women, I'm beyond the menopause, but most younger women are going to have 1 week of the month where they claim to struggle because of their hormones. And no doubt a lot of people do. But when you've got that week of the month and you've got a box in the cupboard above your boiler or something with 50 little bars and packets and this and that and the other to make up your sin baskets, how many of you can stay out of it? Because I couldn't. God, I'd only need one incident and I'd be face planting it. I would not need 3 things to go wrong on the same day. So anyway, that's it. My washing machine's finished. I need to go walking. So I hope you got something out of seeing the way I eat at lunchtime. It's been a good week, and we'll be back on Saturday with the weigh-in results. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. Bye.